Okay, we're recording. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm accompanied by my dog here Buddy, Buddy, you want to say hi? Oh, hi baby. Buddy, hi. He just said hi to the podcast. Oh my goodness, I really have to not hold this mic so close to myself and be so loud. Also, you guys, a little ASMR for those. By the way, for those who aren't watching the video right now, because this podcast is currently on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Although Spotify, you can watch the video, but I have a matcha in my hand right now. I'm going to take a sip for you. So I just made this matcha on camera, actually. I think I'm going to post the video of me making this matcha a little hectically in my kitchen to the YouTube channel that I have, which is youtube.com/at Josh's podcast. Anyway, that's enough about moi. Just thought it was cute. Thought it'd be cute. The first episode. If you missed it, you didn't miss anything. In the first episode, I had a big jug of water that I normally drink out of every single day, and I was like, "What beverage am I gonna have with me this time?" And I thought an iced matcha will do because I love my matcha babes. So yeah, I'm here with my dog today, which is awesome. He's right here, sharing the couch with me, sharing the space. I'm in my glasses today because I was squinting the other day. I filmed this podcast right by a window, and there was people going by last time, and I had to squint to see them. And I'm like, this time, baby, 2020 vision is on. Not gonna have to squint. Gonna know what these people are up to. Anyways, so a week ago today is when I just sat down to film the first episode of this podcast to see where it would go. And I had fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Got a couple comments on it. And I was just thinking to myself, let's make an episode 2, baby. I turned the AC on because it's warm today. But I gotta tell you, I'm not really feeling it right now. So I might have to get up at some point and just bump that shit even lower. So this podcast, if you haven't figured out by now, is just for you to turn on in the background while you're just scrolling on your phone, scrolling on X, scrolling on IG, and to take me with you on your little walks. It's summertime still. Take me with you. I mean, walk any season of the year, but take me with you on your walk. I'm here to just be in your ear to help you forget about the bullshittery of everyday life and just be here. Do you see, can you tell when I get distracted and I start going because I was just on my computer, which I have in front of me, and I have my matcha in front of me, and I'm going to take another sip. And I gotta say, there's a window right here, a windowsill that I think I want to perch this little matcha up on. I gotta say, you guys, I'm kind of out of breath right now, if you can't tell. And sometimes we just need to reset. Sometimes we are moving so quickly in life that we really seriously need to catch our breaths. And I know I find myself in a lot of situations where, and this is kind of one of them right now, and I'm half doing it, is I feel like I'm going through life and I know I need a second to catch my breath, and I just won't do it. And it feels like a lot of anxiety building up within me when I don't catch that breath. And I have to slow down. And there's really no reason for me to be so out of breath. I think I was just really excited to sit down and film this episode of the podcast today. I was waiting till I had a moment alone where I wasn't doing anything that I could sit down and record this. And I think once I had that moment, I was just thinking to myself, okay, gotta charge the camera, gotta make a beverage, gotta put on, a little outfit. By the way, shout out Twilight, the Twilight Saga. We will get into that, absolutely. I'm wearing, for those of you who aren't watching the video, I am wearing a Twilight Saga New Moon t-shirt. And this is official merch from back in the day. You could consider this vintage. Don't roll your eyes. I don't know how old you are, but I do consider this vintage. When the Twilight Saga films came out, by the way, did I finish my last thought about breaths? Just to wrap that up. I mean, sometimes we really just need to sit down and catch our breaths for a second because life is not to be moved so quickly. It's about slowing down. and being in the moment and finding the present moment and enjoying that. But anyway, yeah, I was just rushing to to sit down here in this moment with you right now and be in this moment. So I'm happy, I'm thrilled that I'm in this moment right now. Sitting here, I wanted to put on a cute outfit, wearing this Twilight t-shirt. I mean, yeah, let's get into Twilight, I guess. So this can I talk about something else first? So me and gathering my thoughts is crazy. So you guys, me and gathering my thoughts is crazy because I think a lot of things just pop into my head that I want to talk about. And I'm thinking, like, I'm looking in the monitor right now and I'm thinking, am I sitting in the best way possible on camera right now? Am I like, ooh, now my knees look big in that. Okay, I think I was fine. I'm also holding my dog's foot. Oh, where was I? This is scrambling to think thoughts. Okay, so I was thinking of categorizing this podcast as self-help because that's ultimately what I'm here to do. And I want another sip of the matcha. I'm ultimately here to just talk about life and just how we can better move through it, how we can better navigate life. So the first episode was about asserting ourselves, with more power and trying to appear as more confident and step into our confidence because we all deserve to do that. And I'm thinking today's topic is about being in the present moment. And that's come up a lot recently for me about being in the present moment. I was just talking about this with a friend, just how important it is because a lot of our anxieties, I think all of our anxieties are never, I would say 90% of the time we're not in the present moment. They're in the past or the future. We're worrying about things that haven't happened yet. And it's really important to practice presence. That's something I've been practicing for the last year, at least, practicing presence and being in the moment and letting go of everything. Really, really releasing everything so that we can be ultimately the most present versions of ourselves in this moment with clear minds and calm bodies because every moment we move through this life we deserve to be calm and self-assured and comfortable. We don't deserve to live and move through our days uncomfortable and worrisome. And practicing presence is something that you have to want to do. You have to want to clear your mind of the bullshit and really practice just being in the here and now and releasing whatever doesn't serve you. You could have feelings of sadness, of anxiety, and you sort of just have to ask yourself, why am I allowing myself to feel this right now? Let me take a moment, take that deep breath, and just release it all. Just release it all out into the universe. Just do whatever you have to do. Movement helps me a lot. I love to just physically shift energy, just moving it around with my hands, just moving it away from any negative thoughts. And practicing movement in general, such as going on walks, or exercising, going to the gym, things like that. You're moving throughout your day, or going on a drive, going somewhere. Planning, what I love to do, my little thing is going to Whole Foods and not necessarily needing like a week's worth of groceries, although I somehow end up doing that anyways when I don't really need it. I'm someone who loves stocking up, even though I'm also someone who loves going to the grocery store pretty much every single week just because it's that thing to do. It's to get out. And you can play your favorite music on the way there. You can play this podcast on the way there. You can play someone else's podcast on the way there. You can play my podcast on the way there. And you're just moving about your day. That's creating movement. You're doing something different. You're shaking things up. And it also just helps you to be in different settings where you can practice being present. Because even on my car rides and I'm trying to be present, sometimes I won't listen to anything at all. Just like on my walks, how I talked about last episode, I'll go for walks and I won't listen to anything because I have so many thoughts every single day that I need to work through. And ultimately, if they're becoming too negative or worrisome, it's a great opportunity for me to practice presence and just say, I release that right now. And just look around me. Look up at the blue sky. Look at the trees. Hear the birds. Feel the warm wind as I walk. And I'm just like, wow, I'm so grateful for this right now. Because that's bringing me back to the presence. And ultimately, the best way to practice presence is by practicing gratitude, because they're so hand in hand. When you can be grateful for every single thing around you, like, I'm so grateful, first of all, to be sitting here with my dog, who I'm so incredibly grateful for. I could write 100,000 pages of reasons why I'm so grateful for my dog. And I'm so grateful for this matcha that I made myself here at home. And I have this delicious beverage, and I have this equipment to record this podcast, and these ideas in my head to talk through a podcast. There's just so much that you can be grateful for. And when you're thinking of all the things that are in front of you and looking around and seeing all the things that are in front of you that you're so grateful for, you're in the here and now. And you're in the present moment, and you're grateful for everything you have in that moment, and that's all that matters. And that's how we're moving through life. This matcha is damn good, babes. So, we're moving on from that topic. That's our little self-help bit for the day. And babes, we're talking about Twilight now, okay? If you're watching this podcast, if you're making it this far, if you're listening this far, trust we have a lot in common, and trust that one of those things is our love for the Twilight Saga. So, as I was saying prior to my self-help little tangent, this is authentic New Moon Twilight Saga merch that I got off of eBay, I think back this past winter. And that's sort of a passion of mine, is finding like authentic Twilight merch on the internet and purchasing it. I just love it so much. I think because when Twilight came out, when the first film came out, I believe I was 11 years old back in 2008. And I couldn't really buy myself things as an 11-year-old. I didn't have money to do that, or I didn't even like know how to buy things. I couldn't take myself to the mall. You know, back in the day, it was the mall. It wasn't really online shopping. That wasn't really a thing. I mean, of course it was a thing, but it wasn't a big thing. The big thing was going to the mall, going to Spencer's or wherever they were selling this merch. I can't remember, but that was the thing to do. And I think even in my 11-year-old brain, I didn't even think of that. I don't think I had access to too much of the internet where I would have ever seen that there's things for sale. Or do they even advertise that on the internet? I don't know. But that's sort of the thing that I do now, is things that really shaped me growing up, such as the Twilight Saga. I want to fulfill those aspects of myself. Of course, I got all the DVDs. Of course, I got a few posters back in the day. I do have action figures, Bella and Edward, and Jacob, and Victoria. But for some reason, I only have Bella and Edward right now. They're still in my closet in really good condition, of course. I wanted the dolls really bad, the Barbie dolls, back when I was a kid, but was too uncomfortable to ask for them, which is a whole other topic that we can get into, baby. If you're LGBT and watching this, hi, love you. That's a whole topic. And can I just say, that's sort of, let's talk about Emma Chamberlain for a second. I know I'm sort of point A, point B, point C, point Z, point D, all over the map. Emma Chamberlain. Can we talk about the camcorder for a second, which I'm recording this on? This camcorder. See, I have a lot of thoughts, clearly, throughout the week since my last podcast. I'm on my walks, I'm going about my day, and I'm thinking what would be good for the next podcast, or just thinking of a random thought and thinking, okay, that's something that's going to be good for the podcast. And I was thinking of Emma. So I got this camcorder in November 2020. I can't remember honestly what made me want to get a camcorder. Can someone fact check this for me? Was Emma Chamberlain recording vlogs or videos on a camcorder yet? Because if she was, then I would say she's the reason why I got this camcorder, but I don't think she was. I remember finding an old camcorder in my closet, like of my dad's, but it only could record on CDs or discs or DVDs, whatever it was. So I didn't really want to mess around with figuring that out. So I found this camera on eBay and bought that, recorded like a trip that I took to visit my friend in New York after on this. And so I don't know what I'm saying is, who was the internet girlies that was inspiring camcorders back in 2020? So was Emma doing it? Who was doing it? I feel like I must have seen Kendall Jenner or Bella Hadid with a camcorder back then. Somebody had a camcorder back then, right? Or was I ahead of the trend? Was I ahead of the trend, you guys? No clue, but I got this camcorder and I used it for a bit and then was sort of like, okay, really, or I don't know if I lost interest in it or it just, I forgot about it. You know, it was something that you have to bring with you every time and pop it out. And I filmed some good shit with my friends with it. And, but eventually I guess I was just over it. And then I remember maybe it was last year or perhaps it was even this past winter, you guys. And this past winter, for context, I don't know when you're watching this or listening to this pod, but this past winter, we're in 2024 right now. So it was like 2023, fall, winter 2023. I feel like Emma started uploading vlogs on a camcorder again. And you guys, I'm going to take another sip of my matcha. What? Of my matcha, because I feel like when I talk a lot, my voice sounds like strained. So she was uploading vlogs shot on a camcorder. And I went right to eBay. And because I was thinking, camcorders are dope. And I was searching for camcorders for the longest time. Couldn't really find what I was looking for. And then I remembered, oh my goodness, I have this camcorder in a closet somewhere. So I literally found this camcorder in the closet. The problem with this camcorder is I have to put the SD card in a computer and then convert the video because it doesn't record, because it's so old, it doesn't record in the format that I want it to. So honestly, I should upgrade this camera to make my life a lot easier in that sense. But where was I? So, yeah, so I dug this out. And then I thought to myself, I mean, I've always wanted to make a podcast. And anyone listening to this right now, like, I think you could definitely make a podcast too. I think anyone can make a podcast, you guys. But what was I saying, you guys? See, honestly, maybe I suck at this. I feel like the first episode went a lot better. I feel like I was a lot more off the cuff of this. And now maybe I'm thinking a bit more of what I want to say. Or maybe I'm completely dry today, depending on the day, you guys. But anyway, it's really not that deep. If you have this on in the background, it's literally just to have a voice going so you don't feel alone right now or something like that. Sorry to clock you. But I was re-inspired by the camcorder. And I know she has her podcast, which I think I've seen some clips. You guys, I'm so sorry. I really don't listen to podcasts or watch podcasts, but I've always thought it would be dope to do one. So I haven't really delved into anything besides her vlogs. I haven't seen her podcast. I want to say I've listened to it before, and I should listen to it, obviously. But I've seen clips on TikTok, I feel, of her podcast, and it was shot on the camcorder. But anyway, that's just like a vibe. And I will still shout out my girl. Clearly, we're talking about her, Emma Chamberlain. She has birthed another podcaster, and he's gay. And I'm linking that back to when I said the LGBTs and just trying to link it to Twilight. And that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I know you're so confused. You're so lost right now. Don't worry, baby. I am too. So I just want to say Emma has birthed another podcaster. She's inspired me with the camcorder. Because I wouldn't have been shooting this on a camcorder. And I think it's the visual that really helps tie in me actually getting myself to make the podcast, because I feel like just me and a mic is a little not exciting for me. It's a little like put it up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and who's watching it. I have no idea, but I can put this video on YouTube, and it's good because I can connect. You can connect. You can see me, and that's super tea. So, is there anything else I want to discuss right now? We talked about self-help. We talked about Twilight and me and my thing for merch and possessing merch. I haven't gotten any new merch in a while. This was probably like the last piece that I got back in fall, winter. And I mean, that's simply because I don't need to be spending money on it. And I feel as though I'm fulfilled right now with what I have. Come the day where there's something else that I feel I really need in my life, if I'm on eBay and I come across something, if I'm on Depop, if I come across something, and I think to myself, this would heal me. This would heal that 11-year-old who didn't know that this merch existed at the time. We exist in the context of everything which has come before us. That was a Kamala quote, which is like all over my For You page. Which, by the way, I love dating myself and dating just things. So this podcast can become political history in a way. Kamala may or may not be pushed to be the candidate instead of Joe. I don't know why I just wanted to say that right now. I just wanted to spew something out there that was in politics and happening in this current moment. So that maybe in the future, this podcast can be referenced in a history book. You know? Maybe historians will want to talk about the time that we were thinking Kamala might be the candidate in 2024, and historians are thinking, God, who addressed that besides these major media outlets? Josh's podcast. By the way, if you caught the first episode, I was thinking of calling this podcast the Brainwaves Podcast, and I sort of base everything that I aspire to do, aesthetic wise, creative project wise, by if the @ is available on Instagram, and it wasn't. I think I tried out like a different variation of Brainwaves Podcast, like the Brainwaves Pod or something, and that was available, but I was like, this is you guys. And why do I even want to call it the Brainwaves Podcast? I know I gave a really good, decent reason of why I would call it that in the first episode, but now it's like it's Josh's podcast because it just is. Oh my God, I see the low battery setting on my camcorder. So if the video cuts out at any point, you know why. I'm thinking I probably should wrap it up soon too. I did want to do a longer episode today. And I this is slightly longer than the first episode, but I do want to do long format. But if you didn't get enough of me right now, go back to the first episode, babe. What are you doing? There's a whole other episode, episode 1, called Why You Should Stop Saying Like and And by the way, I don't think I said at all in this podcast, but I have said like a lot. And don't worry, every time I said it, I was conscious of it. And I thought to myself, girl. And so I'm actively working on that. But contrary to the first episode, you don't see me physically going, I said like. I just make a mental note in my head. And I have been better because as I speak, I am sort of reframing the words that I would use in the context of everything in which we are and what comes before us. As if we fell out of a coconut tree just now. If you're so confused, that was another Kamala reference. Also, crazy if you're not from the US and you're watching this and you're listening to this. I will tell you right now, I'm not a representation of anything. I am an enigma, I feel. And girl, do I leave the podcast on this note? This is kind of crazy. This is kind of silly. I feel like this episode was crazy. Someone commented last time, this was an episode of like highs and lows. And I resonated with that because I'm sort of up and down in my speaking. Because I am all over the place, but you know what? That keeps it interesting. That keeps it super interesting because I'm never talking about one thing for too long. So when you're listening to a podcast and you're thinking, girl, I feel like we've explored this topic that you're talking about as much as we can explore it, Let me fast forward 15 seconds and see what's going on. Oh, bitch, you're still talking about it? Never with me, you guys. You skip 15 seconds, you're gonna miss like 3 topics that I'm discussing, and that's fine. Now the battery light is blinking, so I think I'm gonna end this podcast here, you guys. Again, comment, like, talk to me. I haven't linked any socials below yet, so I would say reach out to me on there, but I haven't done that yet. So just comment. Talk to me on YouTube, you guys. Comment. Say what you want me to talk about. Okay, remember this is self-help, but like not at all. But anyway, let's take it back to the first topic. Let's really take that deep breath, you guys. Let's be present. Let's let's be present. Let's be grateful. Okay, that's the message of today. It's just practicing presence and gratitude, and look more up on that on TikTok if you want to really immerse yourself in what that means. It's not sitting down to do long meditations. It's really just everyday life. Ooh, and the video cut out. So I'm gonna end it here, you guys. Love you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.